The Tassie Tigers, that's what's being floated, folks. You've seen it all in the news, and it's time to address it in a video. That Tasmania have approached Richmond to play 2 games there a year over the next 2 years, booting out, I don't know whether it's either one of North or both North and Hawthorn, whatever it might be, but they're wanting us to play a couple of games there, and it's definitely divided a lot of people's opinions, and I can completely understand it. So I put the message out there to leave your voicemail messages to get all of your thoughts and views, both good and bad. So we'll play them shortly. Before we play them, though, I'll give you my thoughts just very quickly. I'm all for doing this, playing a couple of games in Tasmania a year. The reasons why, look, firstly, I guess a lot of people draw the direct comparison to our selling the Cairns games way back when, and it kind of went pear-shaped. The main difference is in the Cairns days, it kind of compromised our ability or our chances to play finals. Whereas the next 2 years of our football for the now, we're not going to be challenging for finals. Whether anyone likes to think that or not, the reality is our list will not be in a position to challenge for finals in the next 2 years. So we're not going to get compromised. It's going to have no impact or bearing on that part of our football whatsoever. So that's a tick. We earn, according to Cal Toomey, the game's worth like 3 times the amount to us playing in Tassie, and it's apparently $1 million a game, which is far greater than what we're going to get. And when you consider that we've just announced the rebuild or the renovation of Punt Road that's not fully funded yet, so the last few stages may not get done until the money is there to do it, this is another way to add money into that development to get it over the line and get it completed. Unless we're all going to go and buy another 10 or 15 bricks each, which I'm pretty sure is not going to happen, then I think it's a really clever and creative way for the club to do that. The final reason why I'm okay with it is we have a pretty good contingency of Tasmania players on our list currently. We have in the past as well. So we've got Mansell, we've got Sam Banks, we've got Seth Campbell, Toby Nankervis, obviously Richo still at the club doing media stuff. It'd be nice for them to give something back to where they came from. And a lot of them have already re-signed and committed to further contracts, so we're not really at risk there. They've all pretty much said they're wanting to keep playing at Richmond. There's no interest to go and play in Tasmania from a full-time perspective. But what we as a football club do really well is we're very good at doing like those family days and clinics and bringing communities together. And I think it'd be great to be able to go down to Tas and do that because we do have a pretty strong Tasmania supporter base. And it would be nice to give them an opportunity as well. And you know what? If it means not playing at Marvel a couple of times, I think that's a win. My only thing would be, it can't take away from another MCG game. So it's got to be replacing Marvel for Marvel, like Marvel directly, not MCG and Marvel to Marvel, which I have heard on the grapevine that the AFL are pushing for us to play 2 Marvel home games. And this is where this may come into conversation. And my other thing would be, if we are to play 2 games in Tasmania, it should not be against Hawthorn or Kangaroos who are already playing there. It should be done as a genuine home game. So whether we play Adelaide and Port Adelaide there or Gold Coast and GWS, whatever it might be, you get the idea. That would be my only 2 sets of circumstances on doing this. But for it to just be an initial 2-year thing, I reckon it's a no-brainer. But I can fully respect and appreciate people who don't want to go and do this. They want to just stay in Melbourne. I don't think it's anything. I don't think it reflects on us poorly as a club. I don't think it suggests we're struggling. I think at the end of the day, football's a business. And when you've got a big redevelopment happening that you need funds for, that's a way to get extra funds. And it kind of all aligns and makes sense. But like I mentioned, I put the call out there to get some voicemail messages on this. And we've had a few come through. So let's listen to those. And we'll answer any questions or react or do whatever we've got to do. So the first one is from Chad.
To be honest, I think it'd be great. I'm from Tassie, so I'd love to be able to get to any games possible.
There you go. So Chad's keen to be able to go to the Tassie games. And I have seen a lot of comments on our socials from Tasmanian residents saying that they'd love to be able to get to games because they're Richmond supporters. And it'd be great for them. But yeah, it's just 2 years. 2 games, 2 years. So Chad's keen to get to the games. The next one we've got through is from Fabian.
Not a fan. I don't think that we should be selling games. I totally understand why the Tasmanian government will want us to go down there and to keep the bums on seats warm and keep the support strong until Tasmania Footy Club come in, but we're not the club for it. we need to be staying in Melbourne, especially during the rebuild, and trying to get more fans to go to that Marvel game. I get that we don't like travelling there. I don't like travelling there, but I still go because I'm a supporter of the club. And I think the fans that make poor excuses about not going to Marvel should be looked at rather than anything. It's got nothing to do with trying to attract more people to the Tasmania game. You know what? Just stop being so lazy and go down and support the Tigers on our home game at Marvel. I think you'll find that they'll still prefer that game there, given that it's in Melbourne, than jumping on a plane and going to Tasmania, which poses an inconvenience. And that's just not fair for our supporters, given that we've got 90 plus thousand members. So let's keep it in Melbourne. We're a Big Four Victorian club. I think if we start selling games interstate, we're starting to become irrelevant and starting to show signs of our power diminishing. So I'd rather not that. I'd rather stick to Melbourne. I get why they want it, but I'm not a fan at all.
Yeah, having the big supporter base is an interesting one, Fabian. Thank you for sending through the voicemail. And it's probably a bit of a unique situation, but I suppose Hawthorn have got about 80 or 90,000 members as well, and they've been able to successfully do it. But I definitely agree that we, as a football club community, whatever we want to call it, we do need to get better with the attendances, whether it's at the MCG, whether it's at Marvel, whether it's wherever. I 100% agree. We definitely got to get out there and be a lot more supportive, especially during these times where things are a little bit tough. It obviously makes the world a difference when there's some good numbers at games and they can hear the crowd support. And yeah, I definitely agree, and I appreciate your thoughts on the Tasmania shift. Well, not shift, but the Tasmania proposition. This one's from Anonymous.
Tigers in Tassie. Well, purely from a selfish point of view, I'm not a fan, as it's one or two less games that we can attend. But from a club's point of view, it'll certainly help pay off Punt Road, so I can see why they do it for that reason. And it will also be a little bit cold for a robe. So just for the panel members, just wondering what you would wear if you were to attend the games.
It's actually a shame that I didn't do this while I was just on with Tiggs for the team selection, because I could have thrown him under the bus again. Surely the outfit of choice would be the hoodie, would be my go-to. If you're sitting down in Tasmania in the cold watching a game, you break out the Richmond hoodie, and I think you'll be nice and toasty in there. But thank you, Anonymous. I get there's going to be a lot of division with these, with the views on the Tasmania stuff, and it's good. It's good to have this type of discussion because it's now become a real thing that I don't think any of us really expected, I guess, to be a proposition. Next one's from Scotty.
Hey guys, Scotty E here. Love your work. I'm all in for a couple of games in Tassie. No one's a fan of the soulless bloody whatever it's called this week, Telstra Dome, or it's like a crypt when we hate going there. So it's ridiculous. So in my eyes, a couple of games over 2 years is pretty much a win-win for all concerned. Money in the Tiger coffers, potential new members to add to the army. Great opportunity to pop over for a game and a weekend in Tassie, which is always fun. Tassie Tourism gets an injection of funds, which is cool for them. I reckon get on board the Tassie Tiger train. Go Tigers. Thanks, lads.
Thank you for that, Scotty. The money's kind of hard to ignore, isn't it? If just with what we've got going on, I guess, if there's ever going to be an overarching factor, it's going to be the dollar signs, I think. But interesting point. I hadn't really factored in the tourism thing either. That's another part that's a tick for Tassie in their mind, because undoubtedly, like, they know, and the reason why they target us is obviously we're going to still go there in numbers, right? We're going to draw more than what the Kangaroos draw, I would imagine. So it makes sense from their point of view. Danog is next on the voicemails.
Look, to me, it's an absolute no-brainer. We're $20-something million behind in terms of our redevelopment. That's what's going to give us continued success. We're not making finals within the next 2 years. Tasmania has a strong Richmond contingent, and we've had a lot of our stars come from there. Why not play someone like, who knows, it could even be a competitive advantage to be playing down there, right? Like, let's say Gold Coast was our Marvel game. And by the way, it seems like whenever we play at Marvel, it tends to be people that have Marvel as their home ground anyway. So That's pretty bloody stupid. But what if we played Gold Coast in Tasmania in, I don't know, July? They're used to playing up in Darwin. There's a reason they've got, such a good win record up when they're playing in Darwin or Alice Springs or at home. But if you take them out of the humid and into the bloody cold, which it will be, which we're a lot more used to here in Melbourne, then it gives us a competitive advantage if we were to play against Gold Coast. And it's a bit of a blockbuster because of the whole dimmer thing, and Gold Coast will be a good team by that point. So even if it's just one game a year where we don't have to play at Marvel, we can get a competitive advantage and we can get, I don't know, $2.5 million for doing so. Why wouldn't we do it? Seems pretty simple to me.
Thank you for that, Dan. I actually hadn't considered the fact that we do play a chunk of or sometimes we'll play our Marvel game against a Marvel tenant, which really pisses a lot of us off. So I suppose there is something to gain from a competitive standpoint as well that can be manufactured that way. I suppose you've got to have the buy-in from the players and everything like that to believe that that's what it is. Whether or not that eventuates or not is a different thing. But I definitely, I understand where you're coming from. I'm fully on board with that too. The final one is from Seb.
G'day, it's Seb here. My thoughts on Richmond playing games in Tassie. Firstly, I am a fan of it because we do get a lot of money out of it, and it will help the redevelopment of Punt Road. And also, it does get the Tassie Tigers supporters involved. They can get to some games as possible, and it is our one-way ticket out of the Marvel home game contract. So that's a positive. But yeah, I think it's a good idea. And another thing I realised that they do need some events there because North Melbourne are no longer to play there next year because of the WA contract. So yeah, big fan of the idea.
Thank you for that, Seb. Thanks to everybody who sent through voicemail. It's good to have both sides of the coin as well. And like I said, everyone's got a voice, and I'm glad that everyone's feeling willing and able to put forward their opinions on this because it's a hot topic. I'd love to know when we need to make a decision on this, or even if it's in our hands or if it's up to the AFL. I'm not sure at what stage this whole process is at, but I can definitely understand why they would want us to do it. And yeah, there's definitely a lot of pros, and there's some cons as well. I mean, you don't want to show the signs of weakness. You want to keep all your games in Melbourne. I get all that, and it's going to be a tough decision for the club one way or another. So it'd be fascinating to see how it plays out. Thank you again to everybody who sent through voicemails. I appreciate it. Let me know your feedback in the comments below. Are you happy to move to Tas for 2 games? Do you want to stay at Marvel? And your reasons why. So let us know what you think in the comments below. And until the next time, go Tigers.